Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. My name is Antoine Bayargent, and I'm the program coordinator here at the Ottawa branch. I'd like to begin by recognizing that the Ottawa branch is located on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We extend our respects to all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people for their valuable past, present, and future contributions to this land and to our country. On behalf of the branch, I am pleased to welcome you to today's webinar, which is titled Get Engaged, Finding the Right Volunteer Opportunity, presented by Volunteer Ottawa. We're joined today by Claire Marshall, Board Secretary at Volunteer Ottawa. She'll show us how to find the right match with a nonprofit right here in the National Capital Region, and how your time, experience, and enthusiasm can be engaged in volunteering to benefit the community and yourself. This session will also include tips on getting yourself ready, what to expect as a volunteer, and a live demonstration on how to use the Volunteer Ottawa website search to find the right opportunity for you. I also want to give a special welcome here to anyone who is not yet a member of the association. We hope that these webinars will inspire you to join us. And to our existing members, we hope that these webinars encourage you to maintain your membership with us. If you have any questions for Claire, please type them in the chat or in the Q&A box, and she'll be able to answer them at the end of the presentation. That's all for me, so I'm going to pass it over to Claire. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Antoine, and hello, everybody. It's great to be here. Did you know that April is National Volunteer Month? And so it's most appropriate that we join together today to talk about volunteering. First of all, I'd really like to give thanks to the National Association, not only for inviting me to come along and speak today, but for their continuing support for Volunteer Ottawa. Annually, we have a celebration of volunteers where people who are absolutely excelling as volunteers are recognized at what we call the VOSCAs, VOSCAR, VOSCAs. And the National Association last year and this year coming have been a sponsor of that. I think in October, they're going to be sponsoring the Older Adult Award for Volunteering, which is really great. Thank you so much. This session follows on to one that I monitored in November, where Michael Wernick, the former clerk of the Privy Council, was talking about volunteering. And as I listened to his experiences, I thought they were great. But then I also thought, my goodness, Michael Wernick, he was the most senior public servant. Maybe it's easier for him to get engaged in the community than most people. So when the association suggested VO come along and speak, I thought, yes, let's get down to real basics. Why volunteers are needed. In fact, these are my 3 points. I'm going to give you some context about volunteering today, and then talk a bit about barriers and benefits. And then I'm going to spend what I hope will be the bulk of the session this morning on how to actually find an opportunity for you. I'm going to go on the VO website and take it through live, and hopefully get a couple of guinea pigs to give me a bit of information so I can do a search for them. On the way to, actually over breakfast this morning, I was reading the Globe and Mail and I couldn't believe it. I saw a large article. It's the first person section, which I always read. They're always interesting. And this was written by a fellow in London, England. And it's headed, "Volunteering at a Charity Shop is What I Needed." And forgive me, but I'm going to read a couple of lines because they're so appropriate, I thought. About a year after I moved to London from Toronto in 2019, I started volunteering at a local thrift store, a charity shop, as they're called in the UK. A decision partly born from a desire to get involved in my neighborhood, but mostly as an antidote to the creeping sense of alienation I felt from a career spent at emailing clients I would never see, working on projects I would never see, writing reports no one would ever read. And although the work that I was doing focused on important social and environmental issues, it started to feel more remote and abstract over time. Volunteering wasn't a distraction or an escape. I could have found that anywhere. It was really, my motivation was quite selfish, a desire to feel useful in some tangible way. And he goes on in a rather amusing fashion, ending with the thought that he's doing everyday things in a charity setting, which in themselves are very small, but which accumulate over time, and which, he feels, contribute to a much broader good, as sort of the sum of all of his small actions in this shop really contribute to making the world a better place. And I think that speaking to you, former public servants, that should ring a bell, because our careers in the government were entirely based on the public good, trying to make a difference. And whether we felt successful or not, that's what we were there for. That's what's in our DNA. And that doesn't go away when you leave work. That desire to be engaged to make the world a better place. So that's the grand introduction. Let me, I mentioned context, benefits, barriers, and then the website. The context, I'm going to share a screen here. Just one screen. I hope. I seem to have lost that screen. Okay, forget that. I've got it here. It was really Antoine, I have seemed to have lost completely my Zoom.
What are you're trying to share the PowerPoint?
I was trying to show the PowerPoint, but I've also lost the picture of Zoom. I mean, I can keep going without seeing myself, but it would be nice to have it up.
Okay, but for the PowerPoint, do you know where the file was on your computer?
Yes, it's that.
Perfect, we can see it.
You can see it. Okay, how do I get me back? Doesn't matter. Sorry, people. This is one of the things I noticed about volunteering is that you're learning things all the time. Well, hey, I'm in the midst of learning how to manage this kind of a Zoom presentation, so don't hold it against me that I'm not a pro at bringing up slides and screens. Okay, the context here. Volunteers contribute over half of the nonprofit workforce in Canada. And that's huge because remember, nonprofit workforce includes universities, hospitals, and that sort of major organization. So the fact that we rely in Canada on over half of that workforce to be volunteering their time and experience, you can see how critical volunteers are to our social fabric. In 2018, the last year for which we have firm stats from Stats Canada, over 24 million Canadians volunteered, the 5 billion hours. Those numbers are really unbelievable. I can't think of 5 billion hours. How many years is that? The largest quotient in there comes from senior older adults, people over 55. And that has been traditional, although there are fewer actual volunteers from the senior adult group than other groups like kids at school or people at work. The number of hours they each contribute far outweighs the other sections of the demographic. So older adults are super important to this volunteer workforce. You can read the next line, the value of the contribution from volunteers, really making quite a marked contribution to our GDP. But in 2024, Ontario nonprofits have reported that so many people have stopped volunteering. There's just been a really broad loss. The latest statistics don't come out till this fall, but so we're sort of anecdotal evidence here, but critical all the same. Volunteer Ottawa has a huge network of nonprofit organizations, so they're hearing these stories all the time. So many have difficulty attracting new volunteers. Another half have a tough time retaining those volunteers. People come in and then they drift off. And 48% of organizations in Ontario find that volunteers are leaving volunteering. Now, this is having a huge impact on what nonprofit organizations can do in the community. There's some anecdotal evidence here. You know, the Bruyere Hospital here in Ottawa had a huge number of volunteers a couple of years ago, and now they've gone from 600 volunteers down to 300 volunteers. So that just in the dimension, a half cut, shows you how much behind the ball they are now. Now, why is that? Well, obviously, it's the impact of COVID, because we were told that we had to stay at home, that we could only connect with 1 or 2 people in our bubble. And the problem there is we got used to being by ourselves. We developed new opportunities. We learned how to make sourdough bread. We took up crocheting. We learned perhaps we wanted to write our memoirs, that kind of thing. We were actively told not to engage in the community, and the community began to shut down. Concerts were closed, hospitals closed to the public. They didn't want any volunteers at that point. Residences were closed except to immediate family members. School homework groups closed. Schools closed. Marathons closed. Everything, group meetings of every kind just closed down. And people were often fueled by fear of being outside. And that feeling perhaps has not gone away. So we stayed at home. We made sourdough bread. We engaged perhaps with our grandchildren. We learned a little bit about shifting to Zoom, which was a good thing. But we didn't re-engage. And even now, when the restrictions of COVID have gone away, we're still staying at home. But the demand is growing. And given the current economic future facing Canada, the demand is going to grow anymore. And Denise Taylor-Gillum, the CEO of United Way for Eastern Ontario, I'll paraphrase something she said the other day, was that in times of stress in the country, one tends to feel helpless. But that is the time to lean into community. And leaning into community, in my books, is volunteering, helping, getting out there, making things better. But there are some barriers. People may still legitimately feel nervous about contracting COVID or other diseases that are around, maybe a bit confused about working digitally and what it means, maybe simply out of practice with volunteering, or they have less time because they've found new outlets and new hobbies. And they don't perhaps want endless commitment. It used to be volunteering brought up images of volunteering every Tuesday afternoon for the rest of your life, but it's not like that. There are those opportunities if you want them, but then you can volunteer just for a day or for a weekend with family members, stay at home, be out in the community, all sorts of different ways of volunteering. There may be a genuine fear of ageism, that being an older person, you won't be wanted or accepted. That is so far from the case, because we have experience. We know shortcuts. We can share our skills with younger people and help them develop the same shortcuts. We may also be a bit afraid of the unknown, and we may enjoy just being idle. And one barrier to volunteering I find very surprising is the simple statement that nobody's asked me. Nobody's asked me to volunteer. Well, I'm asking you, and the nonprofit community in Ottawa is certainly asking you to get engaged. I'm going to share a video here, very brief.
Larry, you'll have to restart the share on Zoom.
Yes, I have, and I don't see the one I want. So let's go in and find it. I seem only to be able to have a. Can you see that?
No,
No. All right. Well,
you'll have to go back to Zoom and restart the share screen. Oh, there you go.
it's there.
Now we see a the website page.
Excellent. This is the Volunteer Ottawa website. And what I'm going to do is pick up a video. Just a sec.
I wanted a task which involved set hours, that involved no homework, because I'd done that for 40 years as a professor at Carleton, and as a result, I lucked into the perfect job for me.
I have a lot of spare time, I work weekends, so I find myself at home wanting to connect with other human beings. I'm a volunteer at the Door Youth Center. My responsibilities here is to make the children feel welcome and just be a presence, a good role model, and an ear sometimes if they need to talk.
If I didn't volunteer, I'd be sitting at home doing nothing. And I really am the kind of person that wants to sit home and do nothing. Having said that, it now becomes a joy to come every week. If we hadn't those commitments, we probably would again stay home and vegetate in front of the television.
I generally like to listen to stories and meet new people. They come and go, the transiency, and I absolutely adore meeting new people and new volunteers all the time.
It's a wonderful way of, again, getting us out, getting us involved culturally in the community.
So I hope I hope the I'm now back on screen. I've
Yes, we can now see the website. Okay, and now it's
sorry. Yeah, what makes me laugh there is the fellow who says I'm the kind of fellow who likes to sit at home and do nothing, and that's what he really wanted to do. That really rings a bell with me. But there are so many benefits with getting out. There are, of course, the health benefits, doing away with isolation and so on. In fact, I think 84% of people who volunteer report that their ongoing medical problems are benefit from volunteering. They feel better in themselves. But quite apart from the health considerations, there are so many benefits to volunteering for you and for the people that you're coming across. There's that cross-generational or cross-cultural understanding that is built. It's genuinely the feeling of helping those people in need. New learning might come to you. You can use your experiences and skills and receive more than you give, for sure. That's what you hear from people who are volunteering. Gee, I went out there to give my time, but oh my goodness, I got so much pleasure out of connecting with people and doing whatever it was they chose to do. It gives you a really good feeling of satisfaction. But you have to find the right spot. And if you connect with something you really like, you're going to do a better job. And if you do a better job, everybody benefits, including you. Before you jump into a search for a volunteer position, though, I think you have to do a bit of homework yourself. You have to assess your own needs and capacities. Do you prefer to work alone or as part of a team? Do you want to volunteer in person on the front line, say in a charity shop or at a food bank? Or do you want to be at home and maybe do some writing in the support of a not-for-profit organization? How much time are you willing to commit? Do you really want that every Tuesday afternoon for the rest of my life? Great. Do you want to commit to an organization for meetings scattered throughout the year for 2 or 3 years? That would be a board position, for instance. Or do you just want to get out and help on an episodic basis? For instance, the Tulip Festival is eager to find people to help for an hour or two a day, a weekend. The possibilities in time commitment are quite enormous. Do you want to be indoors or outdoors? How do you get around the city? Do you use a car, bus, bike? That will determine where you go for your volunteering, and keeping that location in mind and your time availability. That's really key. How much responsibility do you want to take on? Do you want to be responsible for helping to guide an organization through its mission and values? That would sort of indicate a board position. Or do you want to, like the fellow in that Globe and Mail article, be one-on-one with people and do something very simple which contributes to a better society? What skills can you bring as a volunteer? Now, as a public servant, let's take Michael Wernick, for example. He has huge experience in dealing with very, very senior people right across the country, let alone in the federal government. He would have, he'd been a deputy minister before, so in charge of thousands of people, millions of dollars in budget. But I think the average public servant does things rather differently. But whatever it is we did, we may have to look at it slightly differently. I was a policy analyst at one point in the Privy Council office. Well, I'm not going to be doing work like that with a not-for-profit organization, but my skills as a writer, as a presenter, I hope, as someone who listens and can pull together ideas, those skills can be very useful. Perhaps you were an engineer. Your understanding of safety, of teamwork, of being very precise in your modeling, that could be useful too. So take whatever it was, whatever your skills and experiences are, and look at them through a slightly different lens so that you know exactly what it is you have to offer in terms of skills. And then you can think about, well, what causes are important to me? I had perhaps an aunt who suffered from Parkinson's, and I really, really want to get involved in that. Or I love animals, and so I want to work with the Humane Society. So all of those, bear that in mind before you do a search. Now, VO offers this website, which I'm going to bring up in a second, which helps both not-for-profit organizations in the Ottawa area and volunteers. It brings them together. Not-for-profits are looking for volunteers. Volunteers like you are looking for places to work. The website address is very simple, volunteerottawa.ca. And it is the place to find work. There are over 400 not-for-profits in the local area who have registered as members with Volunteer Ottawa, and being a member organization enables them to post their volunteer needs on the website. Volunteer Ottawa has been around for over 60 years now. It is a charity itself, and it undertakes networking across Canada and in the region. It offers professional development and workshops to both not-for-profit organizations and volunteers at very competitive prices. It undertakes advocacy, and it celebrates volunteers through the Voskas, as I mentioned. So I'm going to bring up the screen now and take you through it so that you will be able to do it yourself in due course. Just a moment. Here we go, and I hope you can see that. So here's the home page, much like many other home pages, and I'm going to go through this quite slowly so that you don't just get bewildered by it. Up here, top right, you can toggle between English and French so that you can read everything in the language of your choice. Home, you can read about who we are, our staff, the board of directors, what we do. You can check out our annual reports. You can, if you are in a nonprofit already and want them to become a member, you can read about how to do that. And then where we're going to, well, I'll skip over here because we're going to spend most of our time in this section. Services. I mentioned that we offer workshops and professional development courses. Some of them are only a few hours long, or an organization can have a custom workshop developed. The sorts of things we do there are managing volunteers, how to apply for grants, improving the governance of a not-for-profit organization, a whole series. And for individuals, there are courses you can take, for instance, if you want to become a board member, to become a better board member. And you can do these. This is the online board leadership training. Volunteer talks, well, that's people like me who come out and talk to people like you and encourage them to volunteer. Events, pretty simple. What's going on when? The Volunteer Expo is coming up in May. That's a great opportunity for you to go out to talk to individual not-for-profit organizations. They all take tables. They're generally about 50 or 75 in the room, and they hand out brochures, talk to you to find out if you're a good fit for the organization. That's a great way to actually be a hands-on exploration of volunteering. That May 22nd, Volunteer Expo is coming from 2 to 5, and it's going to be at the Nepean Sportsplex. Okay, now let's go in here and let's drop down to volunteering for older adults. General blurb. There's that little video we just looked at, and it tells you, let's get started. Search current volunteer opportunities. All right, this is where we really come down to basics. So, right on the front page here, right on this page that we've dropped onto, are the most recent requests for volunteers. They are not put in any other order. They're not the most urgent. They're not the only. You will find on this website at any point in time about 200 different opportunities which you could apply for. But let's look down here. For instance, who is a FIFO? I don't know a FIFO. Shall we explore that? Read more. A FIFO. They don't actually say what a FIFO is. View profile. Okay, a FIFO. About the organization. Well, that's not a very good one to have looked at, is it? I'm telling you, this is absolutely random. Search volunteer positions again. Let's go back there. Okay, let's look down here. Tim Hortons Dragon Boat Festival, that sounds like fun, is looking for photographers. So if you feel that you've got a good camera eye and a good camera, let's look. It is a commitment of 1 day or less. It's in Ottawa Centre, and you have to apply by June 22nd. Let's read a bit more about that. So this would appeal to you if you are interested in any of these general areas. Sports, well, you can read best as easily as I can. I hope the print is large enough for you. Sports, arts, craft, photography, event planning, participation. 1 day or less, application, view organization profile. So if this appeals to you, what you do is contact this Ottawa Dragon Boat Festival here. Now, before you contact them, you have to sign up in order to apply. You have to create an account with Volunteer Ottawa. Now, this is very simple. It asks for your name, your email, so that you can be contacted. It might ask for your date of birth so that it knows which category of volunteering you're looking at, older adult or the 40 years as a teenager and so on. It's very simple, but you do need to do that first before you contact the volunteer organization that you're going for. I would show you how to do that, except I'm already signed up. So if I put in, it'll just bring up my details and I won't be able to fill them in for you. But it's very simple to do, I can assure you. So more information here. There's where you get in touch with them. It'll take between 1 to 6 days to get back to you. That's important to note. Often these positions are volunteers themselves, and they're not in every day, so be patient. But if you haven't heard back, in this case, in a week, then contact them again. And there's some suggestions here about who would really be, this position would be good for. There we are. And there are 20 positions available, so not a lot of competition there. And it tells you who you will be helping, suitable for community service hours. That would be a lead-in for the teenagers who are looking for their 40 hours. Public transportation is available, and it can accommodate persons with disability. That sounds like a pretty interesting position. Okay. Now, on this side here, refine your search. There's a possibility for you to be quite targeted in your search. Types of volunteering. What of these appeals to you? Accounting and finance, legal, mental health, mediation, counseling, public speaking, retail, skilled trades. You can pick any one of those. Let me pick, just for fun, healthcare and governance. Okay, hold that thought. You can also filter by availability. Are you available just days, evenings, weekends, or are you flexible? Let's say flexible. What language do you prefer? I'm going to say bilingual. Bit of a lie, but there we go. And what is your location? Now they've got lots of different places. They even go out into the countryside, Renfrew, Lanark, and all of those. Let me say Ottawa Central, East, West, and South. Time commitment. Here you can decide whether it's short-term, long-term, ongoing. I'm not going to tick anything there. I want to see what is available, and I'll make my choices later. Type of organization. I'm going to leave that blank too. And clientele. As you can see, if you have a particular interest in dealing with a group in society, then you can pick that there. And opportunity suitable for, let's say, seniors. Whoops, there we go. Now, no guarantee I'm going to get some jobs pop up, but apply filters and see what comes up. Anything? Yes, Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels. Okay, so I can read more. And then you can sort of go through the whole thing, reading about it, who it's going to benefit, how you get in touch, when you might hear, and all of that. Now, I could go on doing these random searches this morning ad infinitum, but I suggest that there might be someone in the group of participants, I think we've got 50 or so, who would like to step forward and have a search done for them live. So if that's you, why don't you put into chat your name, an interest, say animals or seniors or whatever, maybe something about your availability, weekends, flexible, and a location. And I will take that. Antoine will pass it on to me orally, I trust, and I can take you through so you can search for your own special opportunity. In the meantime, let's go back here, and I'm going to clear all of the filters so that I have an open hand when I deal with okay, here's I could see this. Ottawa Central Photography in Daytime. Jim McQuaid. Well, we just did that, didn't we? There's the Tim Hortons Ottawa Dragon group who needs a photographer. So you could easily find that. Here's another one. Jan. Okay, let's see. Let me take a note here so I get it straight. Jan, thank you, Jan. Children, daytime, evenings, Central Ottawa. Okay, let's do this. Jan is interested in.
Claire, could
Yes.
you move the chat window from your screen
you.
because it's blocking.
Thank
There you
you.
go. No problem.
Okay, let's do this. Location, Ottawa. Time commitment, she said daytime. Didn't indicate how long. I'm going to just arbitrarily choose short-term, Jan. I hope that's okay. And children, let's see. Children, here we go. All right. And we will apply those filters and see what, if anything, comes up. Da, 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 da. Oh, here we go. Whoa, quite a few. A FIFO again. I wish I knew what a FIFO stood for. Social media and communications volunteer with the Mehari Center. Children's program volunteer, specialized support. Paddle and fitness buddies. So these are so interesting. Okay, let's look at this one. Children's program volunteer. Volunteer type, here we go, short term, application deadline June 1st. That's good. It's quite a recent posting. And here's the description. Mehari Center is looking for someone experienced working with children with autism spectrum disorder. Interesting one. And here's the person to contact. Don't forget you would have to sign up, create your Volunteer Ottawa account. And here's the email or the phone number. They'll get back to you in 1 to 6 days. Number of positions, just 2. You will be working with. Okay, now vulnerable sector check required. You'll come across this often, especially when dealing with newcomers or the elderly or the disabled or children. It's a police check. It's quite simple to do, but there is a charge involved with it. And my advice to you is to get the opportunities sewn up before you apply for the voluntary check, police records check. The organization itself will be able to cover the cost of you seeking that vulnerable sector check, and that will be helpful. It's very quick. You can do most of it online, or you can just go to the police headquarters on Elgin to get it done. So keep an eye out for that. So here is, and I don't know, Jan, if that is of interest to you. I'm going to quickly check with chat and see if, let's take a look at this paddle and fitness buddies just for, it's a rather different thing. A paddling volunteer. You any good with setting up boats and like messing around in the water? This might be for you. Anyone 16 and older, well, that would include older adults, wouldn't it? You'd have to be pretty fit, I think. There you are. So again, vulnerable sector check required. And there we are. I'll just check and see if there's one more. Water not for you. Okay, Jen, that's fine. All right. So that's it. I'm going to stop sharing. I hope that you are now feeling a little more comfortable with the website itself. It's quite easy once you get going. So, in sum, the VO website, perhaps Antoine, you could put it in chat, volunteerottawa.ca. That will lead you to a complete exploration of over 200 opportunities, and those opportunities change every day. If you put in your requirements, those filters, and nothing comes up, well, don't be disheartened. There are 2 things to do. Either reduce the number of filters or come back again next week, because a not-for-profit organization might now need a volunteer that you are able to fill. You can also, with Volunteer Ottawa, sign up for their newsletters. They do an email blast every month of the latest breaking and more interesting, or sort of more urgent opportunities for volunteers. You can get that delivered right to your mailbox. And again, I suggest you go along to the Volunteer Expo at the Nepean Sportsplex on May the 22nd. That will give you a chance to interact individually with 50 plus different organizations. I guess that's it from me, and I hope you have some questions, and I hope this little talk has inspired you to get engaged.
Thanks, Claire. We do indeed have some questions.
Okay.
So I'll read them off to you, and you can answer them to the best of your ability.
This is the fun part.
Our first question. I have checked the website several times throughout the year, but I'm only looking for daytime and central location. And there are very few positions that I would be interested in. Any suggestions on how to find out about any other volunteer positions that would be offered during the day and for the central Ottawa location?
Yes, indeed. Volunteer Ottawa is not the only place to go. Often at a public library, they will have opportunities for themselves and more broadly in the community. Or you could, if you are of a faith, you could go to your church or temple or mosque, synagogue, and find opportunities for volunteering there. The City of Ottawa also lists some opportunities for volunteering. Or if you, for instance, hang on the website, if you go down to volunteering, if you go to the heading volunteering, you can find links directly to two portals, one for sports, which often happen during the day, and one for festivals, some of which happen during the day. The Tulip Festival, which I mentioned, is currently looking for 30 volunteers. If you Google the Tulip Festival, you'll get right in there to the opportunities they have.
Perfect. Would the Ottawa Volunteer Expo that is being held on May 22nd, which is a Thursday, could that, or in the future, would it be possible to think about holding that on a Wednesday, because that is when OC Transpo has free seniors transportation. So this person is just suggesting that in the future, because maybe you would get more seniors to attend on a Wednesday.
That's a very good suggestion. I'll raise it at the office. It doesn't always happen on Thursday. It happens twice a year. I'm not sure what the date will be in the fall, whether it'll be on a Wednesday or not. And it's held at different locations around the city. So it's not always at the Nepean Sportsplex. Sometimes it's easier to get to. But I'll take note of that. Thank you very much.
Perfect. What is the quote unquote success rate of organizations posting opportunities? Do you have a sense of how long it takes for organizations to find volunteers, especially for ongoing commitments and not one-day opportunities?
It's a question I'm not entirely able to answer. I go back to the fact that these days it is becoming increasingly difficult to attract volunteers. I'm hoping that all 50 or so of you here will immediately go out and find volunteer opportunities, and that will be greatly well received. But longer term ones, such as boards are hard to staff. And perhaps people are a bit daunted by serving on a board. Maybe it sounds too sort of, I don't know, airy-fairy. But if you, on the website, go to governance, boards and committees and take a look there, you may find that there is an opportunity there to serve long-term with a single organization.
Okay. We have one person saying, can I talk to someone at Volunteer Ottawa about my availability due to health restrictions? I can volunteer, but probably not regularly.
Yes, you could. Volunteer Ottawa acts as the link, though, so they would probably hand you over to one or two organizations who could use your services gratefully. You could contact them if you can use the email info@volunteerottawa.ca and put your question to them.
Perfect. Just reading, I think we have one more question. I was always and still interested in volunteering for Meals on Wheels, but they want someone for a whole year. Unfortunately, I cannot volunteer most of the late spring, summer, early fall due to camping, and perhaps a month in winter for somewhere warm. It is difficult for me to volunteer due to those long requirements. Do you have any thoughts or recommendations for me?
That's unfortunate, because I know Meals on Wheels does like to build up sort of a client server relationship, which is why they ask for a long-term commitment. What you might like to do on the website is put in your interests and make sure you tick the filter for episodic, or maybe focus more on volunteering over a weekend or a single day. Or you could call Meals on Wheels and perhaps find, maybe you can play a backup role as a driver. I don't know. But I think using the filters on the website might be of help to you to find something less long-term.
Perfect. Someone's asking, could you share the specific filters to use to look at board positions on the Volunteer Ottawa website?
Yes. Shall I bring that website up again briefly? Okay, right here, you see, type of volunteering. Type of volunteering, you can go look down here, board leadership. You could be in there, governance, boards and committees. There, and those are under the heading of type of volunteering. Availability, okay, location, type of organization. Then if you sort of pick those two areas of interest and then pick one or two or more types of organization, or leave that unfiltered so that you get everything, you should find something good. Let me just do that briefly, because I think let's do governance and what was it, board leadership? Where was it? There we are. Ottawa Centre, unclick that. I don't know if I clicked anything else. And see what we get. Oop, a FIFO again. They're looking for someone. Maybe come back again next week, because I know that boards are hard to staff, and they would be very keen to find someone who is interested in serving on a board.
Perfect. I think that's all the questions. I think we got through them all.
Now I know there's someone, a participant, Linda, who I was talking to earlier on, and honestly, she could have given this presentation, perhaps not finding her way around the website as easily as I can, but she has a story to tell. Linda, if you're still there.
Oh, I'm still there, and I'm so grateful to you, Claire, for this wonderful presentation. I'm the Ottawa branch manager of the National Association of Federal Retirees, and our organization is built on volunteers. We have 77 branches across the country and a body of about 1,000 volunteers that keep that organization running. So yeah, it's so important. And I also want to say that we're thrilled to be your sponsor for the Older Adult Volunteer of the Year Award, which last year was won by a federal retiree. And you never know, but it might be another one this year. My story is personally, I was planning to retire from the government, and I was anxious about what I would do. And I went on a pre-retirement course, and they said, don't think you'll retire and immediately find what you want. Start looking early. And so I did years before I retired, actually. And I fell into the animal welfare sector, which is a real passion of mine. And I got to serve as a volunteer at the Ottawa Humane Society and then on their board. And then I served nationally on the Humane Canada board. And it's some of the most fulfilling stuff I ever did. And it introduced me to the not-for-profit world, which I didn't know much about. And as a result, when I left government, I ended up working in the not-for-profit sector. So I'm, I think it's 16 years in now, once at United Way Ottawa and now here with the National Association. So it was a mind-opening experience. It took a bit of guts, I must say, and just kind of present myself there and how can I help? But they were delighted. The Humane Society were delighted, and it grew and grew from there. And you're really able to decide how much time you can give, and that depends on the role that you decide to play. In the end, I stepped off the board, but I went to schools before the pandemic and gave PowerPoint presentations with an animal on how to be kind to animals. And I never in my wildest dreams thought little children would want PowerPoint presentations. They really wanted the animal. They didn't really want the deck. But it was also, again, it's a tremendous experience. So I just can't recommend it enough for our members. It takes a little courage, but these organizations need you. And if they are smart, and most of them are, they will treat you so well because they really value what it is you're bringing, whether it's fostering an animal, chairing a meeting, directing parking at an event, whatever it is you do, those organizations cannot survive without it. And I was shocked to hear that the numbers are so low since the pandemic. Claire, that really is scary. So we're so grateful for what Volunteer Ottawa does to centralize a lot of the requests for help.
Thank you, Linda. That's great. And I should add, you were talking about the variety. Just my own variety, I find quite amusing because I've done everything from staffing, working as a parking lot attendant at a farmer's market, to being on a board, several boards, and chairing a board at one point for 6 years. So that's long term. I've volunteered in Lesotho and Bangladesh. I've been up north in Iqaluit with an exchange with teenagers. I mean, there's no similarity between those except so much fun to do, so engaging. And as so many people say when they're in the volunteer world, you receive so much more back. You learn so much. And just the joy of being with new and different people and doing new and different things, it's so worthwhile.
And it's so nice to be appreciated and to give of yourself for free and to have other people find value in it. It really is amazing. So I just welcome everybody on the line. Thank you so many. I have about 54 people constantly on the line for this webinar. I just recommend you guys go out there and spread the word. I noticed someone put in the chat, Charity Village is another site that you can look for. And we also put the specific area on the Volunteer Ottawa site for board leadership. There was a specific area, we put that in the chat too. So just encourage you to go out there. And Claire is living proof that you can reinvent yourself so many times. And now she's the ambassador for Volunteer Ottawa and doing such a tremendous job. We're so grateful. And anyone in the audience who's not a member of the association, commercial, I hope you decide to join.
Wearing my badge.
Oh, but thank you so much. Yes, we should have said that. Claire is, of course, a member too. So I don't know, Antoine, are there any other things we need to say goodbye to people?
No, I think we're pretty much done. I'll say a few final words, if that's all right.
Okay, but may I just open one more bracket? We'll put in our newsletter, not the one coming out this week, but in 2 weeks, we'll put in the newsletter. Please watch the tape of this webinar for you to share it with other people. And we'll also put the Volunteer Ottawa website where you can search, and we'll promote the May 22 fair expo thing.
Expo.
Yeah, so we'll do all that for you too.
Thank you.
Perfect. So I just want to also let everyone know that there will be a follow-up email to this presentation, and that'll include information on Volunteer Ottawa, their website, and also the recording of today's presentation, as Linda mentioned. And also remember that you can invite non-members to attend these webinars and to try us out as a guest. So if that sounds interesting, you can also register for any of our upcoming webinars on our website at nafrottawa.com. So a big thank you again to Claire, and thank you everyone for participating in today's webinar, and we hope to see you at our next one.
Next
Thank you,
week.
everyone. That's right. Bye,
Next
everyone.